Hello, here I am. It is Monday, just before 1 p.m.
Oh, I'm not there yet.
I know, I'm talking though. I am live already. I'm going to turn you off the phone here, okay?
Okay, bye.
I'm with a friend who will be joining us through the chat line shortly, doing a test run to see if we can find out why I keep freezing. Yesterday I ran some cleaning out of the computer, which I hope took, because sometimes I get with new programs, I'm not as proficient as I could be with anybody else. So if anyone's out there and they notice that I'm on and they want to come and join us, and because we have to use up a little bit of time to be able to, what's the word I want to use? Determine, because it seems like sometimes it freezes at around 8.5 minutes. Sometimes it's longer than that. Oh, okay. Here's Marion says, finally it let me in. Yeah, I know how it is sometimes. So Marion, you can ask anything or put a suggestion down on the chat there so we can at least keep chit-chatting and see what happens with this show, because it won't be happening in the first few minutes. At least it never has. So we'll see what happens. And as I said, if anybody else is out there and wants to join into whatever, we can do that. In the meantime, I have my little insight cards. I had an interesting morning this morning because I had a consultation booked for 10, which I did. And then I have had two people who know me phone up, very upset about things that are going on in their lives. So I've had the next hour talking to two people. Then I went to watch the tennis match that's on final on, and one of the main players, and we were all of us who are tennis fans watching for this match of the two big top guys, and he was sick. So he played a set, nearly a set, and he lost every game, which he would not normally have done. And so he had to retire. Okay, so Marion, you haven't put anything in the chat room yet. So I'm waiting for you to put something in there. I'll just maybe put, oops, no, I won't. Okay, so I'll keep talking. But let's see. One of the cards, I'm just going to pull some cards in because I have to have something to talk about. And this is a card that says love is forever. And then it says down here, hassles are temporary. Boy, I should have had that in hand this morning when I was talking to two people. Hello, Leroy. Did you see we're doing a test run to see if I freeze or not? So if you have any questions metaphysically or whatever, you just put that in there and I will do what I can, because I've got to keep talking, because we want to see where we know where it approximately freezes. It freezes around 8 or so minutes. Marion says it wouldn't let her type anything earlier. Okay. And so I'm love is forever, hassles are temporary. I should have had this to show to two people. Well, I wasn't on air, I was on the phone, but this morning, two calls of people who were upset about things, how they were now, how they're dealing with them. And I rely back onto the old thing that when you're really upset, you've got to accept that and then see and not feed lots more information in it, not more emotions and things like that, but rather plan something that gives you pleasure, has you feel good, etc. Marion wants to know if anybody else is experiencing crazy time things. Oh yeah, she's having some crazy fine things. Anyway, I have another one about love. Love is forever. It is forever. But what happens when your expectations of what another person is supposed to do or be doesn't meet up with what it is that you want? That is where the issue comes. So this one says, God loves us more than we love ourselves. And on the back, it says, you should on yourself. I'll put that really close there. Just remember that this is we're testing here, so I'm sort of taking whatever and see what you can say. Um, how can I explain this? Love, the universal love energy is constant. The energy force that we work with, whether whoever you pray to, whoever you feel, if you feel the love, not the judgment. Some people I find they're gurus or whatever, it's more judgment. You're supposed to do this, that, or the other. It's not really about how love works, which is total acceptance of what is. But it is there and does love us more than we love ourselves, because we're judgmental. We make judgments on ourselves, on things that happen, things that go around, wonder what we do, how we're doing it, all those kind of things. And so consequently, it makes a big, big, big difference. So this card that I now pull out says, I can't get away from loving this. Today, celebrate my love for you. Rips, there she is. Celebrate my love for you. How do we celebrate? How do you celebrate the lovingness that you have? Community, eating together is a really big point. If you're having somebody you want to be with and all those kind of things, then how do we work with that? How do we do that? How do we ensure that you're celebrating the lovingness that is there? I can't believe this. I keep pulling a card and each one of them has something about love in it. What does this one say? God is the lover, the beloved, and the love. So that's 3 or 4 different actions. Let's have a look. God is a love. So therefore, that's that energy, that love source I talk about. The beloved. So we repeat in a sense of being. And the love, which is just is. Marianne says love, replying is having a meal with friends. Definitely having a meal with friends. But then that often takes organization. And sometimes when a person is really depressed, and that's when they finally will find me, they don't have family or friends to go have meals with for whatever reason. And that's where it gets sad. And it is sad sometimes for people, and to have them do a correction of the direction of their heading in. What is the correction? What is the way in which they're going, etc. Leroy, are you still there? Because you can put in a question of anything, please, because I've got to keep this rolling to see what happens. This is an elephant in this one. I'll read it though, because the printing is not big. Why be afraid of 1,000 barking dogs when you are seated on an elephant? And it's a picture of a man lying back on the head over on the back of the elephant. And on the back part of that, which sometimes is probably more effective, I have no fear if you, the divine, are with me. Your light and your love guide and protect me. So take a look at that one. I like that one. I like that one. You have all those elements that go on and do and be. Okay, so often it freezes around this time. We'll see what happens. Health is inner peace. Healing is letting go of fear from the center of attitudinal healing, who I think put all these cards together, actually. So health. Yeah, we're into 9 minutes now. So illness begins with dis-ease. Health begins with happiness. And that's one of the things I was talking to the people this morning that phoned in. One of them in particular was that, well, actually, there was 2 of them that I had to sort of suggest where their thinking was versus where's their joy, where's their pleasure. If you're upset with something, and you're not getting a response, you have to change your perception. Hi, Magic. Nice to see you. We're doing a test here, dear. So we're just, I'm talking, you can write in whatever you want. If it's metaphysical, I'll work on answering. In the meantime, I'm working with some cards. My friend Marion is here. I don't know if Leroy is still with us. I hope he is. He joined in. But it's just conversation, and you can write down what anything you would like to do about, say, any philosophical thing. I'm not reading, I'm not predicting or anything. Yay, Leroy's there. And oh, look at this. This says, stop. We do not want this to stop. And so we want it tonight to continue on without anything. And we won't know, of course, till we do tonight, but we want to make sure. And I did a cleaning. I hope I did a cleaning. I sometimes wonder where my brain went away. I like this one. I am one with the joyful love, Son, the aesthetic essence in everyone. There, you have that being, that lovingness within you. We forget that sometimes with all the stuff that's going on, all the pressure, relationships, financial. I've had also a couple of people talking about finances today. It's been an interesting morning. And so it's like, when you get one, but when you get several of the same kind of theme, you go, okay, what's going on here? Stop is for stop worrying, is what I got. Definitely. Worrying is useless because guess what? In worry, you're always predicting what you don't want to have happen. If you're going to worry, I have said this to somebody once. If you're going to worry about what you want to have happen. They started doing that, and their lives turned around. Oh, Marion says it froze at 11, but it started up again. There was no sign here. Sometimes I get a little wrinkling on it. Well, that's interesting because it has never started again. So that's a plus. We'll keep going and seeing. I might have to run that program again, which frightens me a little bit. What kind of day, excuse me, will I decide to have today? Yeah, that's never started up again. That's one of the things that was bothersome because it says, oh, we're going to, but I didn't even get that. They usually make a little note up there. We're having trouble, blah, blah. What kind of day will I decide to have today? Assuming personal responsibility for your well-being. Not the easiest thing today. And on the back side of this, it says, I make all my decisions with the help. Oh, I read this the other day. Of ego or with help of spirit. I didn't look at the back sides yesterday. Well, it was Sunday I was doing this. The people have problems with the word ego. I always did because we have to have a perception of who we are. But as the ego, we tend to take it as when it's not part of the universal love force at all. So we'll leave it at that. This one, look at this. It's a candle. Can you see that? I am a candle. I'll read it easier from here. I am a candle, lighting many candles, lighting many candles. When you do something that enriches someone's life, a thought, an action, just a feeling, they go off and they do that, then they do that, then they do that. And your world changes. On the back side of that card, it says, to love is to be happy with. I enjoy and appreciate myself as I am, and you as you are. I feel happy and loving right now. Well, I feel happy, believe me, to think that I froze at 11. Then started again. Hang on, was it 11? Okay. So now we're up to 14. Listen to this one. God is in everything I see because God is in my mind. That's from A Course of Miracles. Perception is creative. As you see it, so it is for you. And this is one of the hardest things I have to work with clients whether it's a reading, whether it's an energy work. Don't find it so much in past life regressions because it's a whole different thing. But to have people perceive that they are creating what they think about or give energy to, because most people don't believe they're incorrect or they have something to correct. It's and we have a tendency to blame everyone else or everything else rather than assume personal responsibility. You create your world based on how you think, feel, and respond, according to me. How are you thinking? What are you putting out? What are you planning? What are you feeling? So you might be planning one thing, but when it comes to other things emotionally, because emotion gives the things a charge. And so you want your thought and your emotion in alignment. You want them working in the way you are going, in the direction that you are. Because consequences occur. Things just don't happen. Things sometimes happen out of nowhere, but we don't know when that was set in action. And it's not so much that it came. How do you handle it? I often used to say, it's not the situation, it's how do you handle the situation. It's not the problem. How are you handling the problem? What are you doing with the problem? Are you creating with the problem? All of these things are making that, in a way, workable. The other thing, if we go on down here, it says, it's never too late to have a happy childhood. Some people do not have happy childhoods. And no matter what one says or does not change that. But that's when acceptance comes in. Your childhood could start from today, no matter what your age is. And on the back side of this says, your inner child wants to come out and play. When a person is being through that, I don't totally 100% agree with that, by the way, because when you have gone through tremendous trauma as a child, wherever it comes from, you have to acknowledge that trauma. I have found trauma in my body that I did not know existed. Even if, what was less than a year ago, I guess, I found out some trauma that I didn't realize was still activated and still playing out in my life. Thank goodness when I have something come up, I know what to do to get to it and transform it. But the majority of the world doesn't. And so therefore, they will be, what's the word I want to say, traumatized again. But that's the exciting element when you get into growth and you begin to find things. Like I would not have thought that at this time in my life, with all the work that I'd done, and I mean that, did a lot of inner work, that all of a sudden here's a memory that I knew happened, but I didn't realize the trauma that happened after the memory. So when it came up, at least I knew what to do, how to go in, take a look at it, and clear it. And then realize how often, not a lot, but it had come up. And I didn't recognize it as a trauma until finally it occurred. And I had to, and I was because of something I said at the time that triggered, oh, I better look at this. And found a trauma from when I was 6 years old. I'm a long way from 6 years old, believe me. But anyway, yes, we have trauma. Childhoods are not always happy for everyone. It's what you do with it after. If you get victimized by what happened to you and you won't get beyond it, unfortunately, I feel sorry because you have to go back and repeat lots of other things. This little card says, we see things not as they are, but as we are. And that is a truthism to me, because the majority of the world, when you're looking out at the world, you will assess and make decisions based on who you are and what your experience has been, not by maybe a bigger picture, unless you've done a lot of transformation and changes on the inside. Life is here to experience, to joy, to grow. Now, why do we do that? Why do we do all this growth? Because the day comes when you go to leave this body, you want to be able to leave it peacefully and not drag with you a whole lot of stuff that has been unresolved, because that's what happens. That's why past life regressions, excuse me, is really important. And I've been thinking, for those that often want a workshop monthly or something, to do one special, special for you guys, is to do a past life regression one. We can do a group one, because I've led them for years. Excuse me. Wow, that went down. I don't have any water with me. Oh, do I? No, don't. It is. So let me just talk about past life regressions a bit longer. It's the only way that really I know, besides somebody else looking and telling you what you did, is that from your subconscious memories, you not only remember, but with my techniques, is that you look for the decisions that you made during that time. When you make that decision, the decision goes into the subconscious. And then the decision in the subconscious reenacts the scenarios different, with the same result, same decision being made. Sometimes we have really big decisions that we've made throughout time. And unless we go looking at where that decision was originally made, we don't get it. When I say we don't get it, it means we don't transform it into love and light and let it go, so we don't have to recreate that again. See, we're brilliant. What we do is excuse me a sec. I thought I had water. Is to recreate. I'm just looking for a Kleenex now. Scenarios similar to what the decision is, so that we can become aware of the decision. But because mostly we are not aware, it can happen, but we're not going to be aware to associate it, that the decision that you're making again for the 10,000th time maybe can be transformed, can be changed, can make things different. It is to me, one of the most important things I ever ran into. Was quite early. I don't know if I've ever said the story, saying this is going to be erased because it's just a test program. When I first started, okay, what? Oh, Matt's 07. Hi, I'm doing a test run, so to see if we freeze or not. We did freeze once apparently, but we kept on going. So that's a plus. That's a new. Anyway, welcome. I'm just chatting. If you have a metaphysical question, you can put it in and I'll answer it. Otherwise, I'm just chatting. I'm talking about past life regression, how important they are. When I first ran into past life regressions was because when I was working at the bookstore many, many years ago. And we had one person arrive who had written a book called Hypersentience. The name was Marcia Moore. I think she's still around. And I became quite friendly with her, actually. But anyway, I went in there. I was late for the workshop. A whole pile of things had happened at home with my husband, and I was emotionally upset. Perfect time to go to a past life regression workshop, I'll tell you. Last person in this big room to find room for me. I was right by the door. And she does like a meditative state. and I saw this scenario come up, and I went, oh. Now, what was interesting in those first ones, there was no transformation work. It was just experiencing and coming to realize, oh, this is what happened. Not long after that workshop, and I had a private session too with Masha, another author, Explore Your Past Lives, Peter Jameson, I think his name was, from Colorado. He was a radio personality. He also taught a lot of things about how to create your reality too, as well. So it was quite good there. And anyway, whole different technique. And I have to say, his technique, if I run into an intellectual person, one who's totally in their head, I use his technique. It's perfect for it. And so I, again, did some more work, and there was some more stuff, and just information. So, oh, I did that. I did this. I did that. So I started doing workshops on past life regressions. And what I did with the group I would do Masha's technique first. We'd have lunch. Then we would do the next technique, Peter's technique. So anyway, switching off he had. And then we'd have a little break for like after mid-afternoon. And then I'd say, okay, hang on, just hold on with your questions. I finish this. Then anyway, I said to the group, which I'd always done, okay, which technique would you like to do again? And I had a rebellion. The class said, no, we want to do another one. So I had to, in that moment, reach in and create a whole new technique. The technique, which I ended up doing forever, making a CD of, and everything else. Because it was simple, it was easy, and it, to me, well, I have information that pops in, and it certainly did, because that was it. I knew what I was doing. So yes, I had 3 techniques, but that last technique was the one I ended up using all the time. Now let me read what Maths 07 wrote here. I still don't understand how you can do future life regressions. I don't know how you do that either. Does this mean that the future is set in stone? How important are future lives compared to past lives? What we tend, from my understanding, and I could be, who knows if I'm correct or not, you make decisions in a lifetime that is imprinted on your subconscious mind. Then in a lifetime, you recreate. I don't know that I've ever done future lives. It is possible, I'm sure. I'm sure it is, because the timeline is there. Maybe I did. I don't know. I've done so much stuff, I can't remember all I did, but I don't remember leading people into the future lives. It could be done. When you would have to have a very abstract mind, number one, but number two, you've got to remember, no matter what, it's the decisions you have made that are reactivated in your life. That's what you need to go after. Whether you made them in a present life, a past life, a future life, doesn't matter. It's those decisions that you are working with in your life that keep popping up. And you will remake the same decision over and over and over again, whether it's in this lifetime, another lifetime, a future lifetime, it doesn't matter. And some decisions are like in stone. You try and work with somebody who has a belief that they believe in, even though they've seen the danger it does and the chaos it creates, to have them change that decision, to bring in energy that will let that decision go, that they can forgive themselves or anybody else that's associated with the decision made. We make the decisions. Even though circumstances may happen, it's still... Marianne, when you put the time up, because I've got the time in front of me, does that mean it froze then and carried on or not? Or just are you telling me how the time's going? I'm not sure on that. Can you just let me know? Because I'm kind of confused about that. Anyway, but it's a good point, 07, because you are going through mega changes, but it's always, when did that decision come in? Time is, you could have been looked like a future, it could be a future life that you made that decision in. No matter what, it's still in your subconscious. We tend to think laterally, like, a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 through. But the reality is, I'm trying to think, when did I look at some, I must have looked at future lives as well, but I can't remember. I think some in, it's still past Atlantis. One of the fun times I had was my son was in a regression class with me. Well, I was leading it. He was there. And he had he came out so excited because he remembered a past life in Atlantis. And the things he told us of what they were doing in Atlantis was one of the best explanations I've ever had of Atlantis. And he knows a lot about it. Yeah. So that is great. Yeah, Mary's okay. I catch the time is here actually too as well, but I do like to know if it stops again and starts again. It's not, you did mention it in some of your thoughts. Yeah, well, whatever's going on is the product of all my work over the years, that's for sure. And some stand close. But it was so fascinating to watch a young person that come and say, guess what? I was this. And all excited because of what and who they are. This is another card that I think is really important for us to remember. Whoops. I hit a wrong button. There we go. Each of us is doing the best we can given our awareness and current knowledge. Where I am right now is a necessary step to where I will be. Just let me read that again. Each of us is doing the best we can. I believe that. We are doing the best we can, or we wouldn't be doing it. Given our awareness and current knowledge. As I said earlier, for some of you that have come in later, I had 2 phone calls this morning of people upset about things, and they just phone me up so I can talk to them about it. And it's the same thing as that. They're doing the best they can with the awareness and current knowledge. A lot of it is not what they may have knowledge of it. They don't apply it. There's one thing missing here. I am here. So at the bottom part of this card, it says, where I am right now is a necessary step to where I will be. And that's the whole thing, the acceptance of where you are and the decision of where you want to be. And on the back of that, it says, when you want only love, you will see nothing else. Yeah, but the thing is what if you want to see dissension, if you want to see anger, if you want to see whatever, even though you may not be aware that's going out, that's what you'll see. Okay, Master 7 has another question. What is the easiest way to get rid of these decisions? Transformation. You can only you got to recognize them and give them over to the light, to the God there. But you have to replace things. You just can't clear out, like go 0, 0, 0, and you're just nothing. It's really about giving over and letting go, but replacing. How do you replace? What are you replacing? What is it you're really wanting? Even if it's the same thought of, well, a new thought in there. The subconscious can't be totally empty. I know when I was given the technique of how to actually go into the subconscious to actually pull a whole program, it was like, first of all, you have to clear a lot to get to that. But it's when you go in and pull out a program, what are you putting in to replace it? Energy has to be replaced. Or otherwise, the person tends to recreate the energy. So in other words, you might say, oh, I don't like that decision I made then. I'm gonna let it go. But unless you've replaced the energy, it will just automatically replace. And that's where a lot of people do a lot of work. And then then all of a sudden feel nothing has worked. I'm still the same. I'm still having this. I'm still doing that. Why? And that's why people like myself come along and work and do the best we can with the people that are attracted to us. It's not everybody likes the way I teach anyway. Okay, here's another one. I am discovering who I am with joy, but look at this face. Hang on, I got to get it right. Look at that face. Yes. With the key here is joy. If we don't have some element of enjoy, and there's different levels of like enjoyment, feeling just better about things, all of that has a significance. And that's like discovering who I am. What brings joy? What brings happiness? What brings a sense of satisfaction in your life? And on the back of this particular one, it says, everything, all gifts are given to me, I give to God. Most of us don't know about handing things over either. We are an expression of that light. Sometimes I'm a big worrywart, but we manage. We keep going. We do the things that we need to do. Another card. When you're not in touch with reality, if you don't believe in miracles, what? You're not, oh, sorry, I read it wrong. You're not in touch with reality if you don't believe in miracles. Correct. When I am willing to see things differently, things become different for me. That's when we work with changing the mental process, shifting an idea, concept, making things different, how they look differently, what they are differently, how they work, how they come, how they're being. All of those things are very, 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 very different. Another one. I give to another the greatest of presents when I can share the gift of my presence. So which part of you is showing up? All things, including me, are changing. I cannot stop change, but I can choose the direction of my change. A little complicated, but actually correct. Okay, 07, what do you got for me now? Can you talk about your astral experience with Ram and Jesus? What was that about? Not really, not right now. I'm not really doing this. Is like trying to just go through stuff, easy stuff. Rama and I'll just say this. Rama came to me because I had been working with I'll tell you this part. I had been working with guides for a lot of years because I was running meditation circles and stuff, and the guides were very, very important. And I had different ones, and I kept getting higher and higher and higher. And one day, this guide came to me, and I knew that this was an unusual person. And he told me his name was Rama. And he took me, and we talked, and he used to come along, and he would talk through me in a way, teach me, watch me. We would have great discussions about things that I have no memory of. And one day he said, come with me. I want to take you meet somebody. And he took me and introduced me to Jesus. No kidding. I'm sitting there, little me. It's probably in my 30s then, maybe. Yeah, probably. And we don't ask me what the discussion was. I don't remember. It often happens when you're talking to higher beings. And from then on, for many years, even when I moved to Penticton here, and first time I got sick, I couldn't keep up with the workload, and Rama moved on from me, and I had another one come in, one that was still learning a bit, which was fine. But the time I spent with Jesus at that time, it was like being taken into a fold of followers. This is the way. So that was me. What was that about? Introduction. Rama was an excellent teacher. Didn't let me get away with a thing, believe me. But I learned a great deal, and his work works on through me in many, many different ways. You weren't let off with anything, believe me. It was great. But he wasn't the only, it was only one, it's not one teacher, one student. It's one teacher and many students. And I got to see that. Someone came back from a workshop and said, "Oh, you said you know, Rama, work with Rama." I said, "Yeah." She said, "Oh, I just did a big workshop that he was doing." Okay. When you're working on that level, you can be in many places at one time. He wasn't embodied in a body, so he could move around quite a bit. Anyway, divine abundance is an infinite supply. I agree with that. There is no way to peace, big capital letters of peace. Peace is the way. I'll show you that one. Peace is the way. How do we be peaceful when we feel all these things are hammering us? Or we've got childhood issues that we haven't let go of yet? Why do we hang on to childhood issues anyway? You know, where's the love in that? I had to forgive my father a long, long time ago for the beatings I got as a kid because I was argumentative. I was like him, actually, in lots of ways. And I was argumentative. Oh, I don't know what else I did. I was too young to remember a lot of it. So, and I had to let go of all of that and just remember that, you know, my did a good job actually for the times he was in. He was born in 1903. Just think of that. 1903. We're in the 20s now. We're way beyond that, way beyond. This is where you get to see how time and sequence of events has an important part to play. How you go forward, recognizing that I am a product being born in 44 after the war. Well, my soul came pretty quick during the war because of the war, because of being killed in Germany in the war. That you begin to recognize that when a person is born in an era, people are born after, and they are in a different era. That's why older people sometimes don't understand young people, because they're trained to look, to see, perceive a whole different belief structure. Life changes, and it's really not always easy to keep up with that. Young people aren't drawn to me, unfortunately. I get the middle-aged to the elderly wanting to know answers, to figure it out, to begin to want to do the work that's necessary. And so I get a lot, you know, that's the way life works. And and often when you're older, you don't want someone telling you that there's another way to look at things. People have barriers of where and what and how they go and what they do. And it's a matter of just recognizing, because I'm always going on about that love vibration. It's by understanding that this universe has this energy called love. I remember the first time I ran into it. I was in a workshop. I've talked about this before. I was talking about the workshop, and we were being taken different levels or whatever. And all of a sudden, it was like, well, actually, there's a pre-part of this story I should tell because it was significant. I was taking a monthly, 1 weekend a month course for 9 months. Psychic development and whatever growth. A lot of people pulled out in the first few months. They wasn't to their satisfaction. Then about the third month in, I guess, one of the guys, and we were led in a meditation, had this vision of going up and sitting down beside Jesus. And he experienced this feeling. And he came back down very euphoric and like everything was all well at the world. And I cried I was the driver with my friend. She would fly in and stay with me, and we would go on into Vancouver every week, that weekend. And on the way home, I cried because I wanted that feeling. I wanted it. And I didn't have it. So anyway, next month, we're back at the course again. And this time I was like reaching up, and I knew that when I touched into that love energy, I had to pull it inside. And in that moment, my internal life changed. I knew without a doubt that love energy that people talk about exists, is real, and is there for me and for everybody else that wants it. But if I hadn't reached up, like a friend was always up there, if I hadn't pulled it in, if I hadn't been determined and wanted, and I pulled that energy in, where it bonded and was there, and from then on, I can always reach it. It's just going inside and being there. Oh, yeah, I've acted out on things and got mad and done all the other things, but that essence of being loved 100% was still there. Being forgiven for everything you do that's crazy, right? Still forgiven, because in pure love, just is. It just is. And that was the beginning of me really talking about a lot about loving and love and listening, and then learning all how the mind worked and the subconscious worked over the years, working with so many other people. I was very, very, very lucky that I got to experience, to see, to learn. And it shows 46:53, so 47 minutes so far. Okay, let me see, Math 07, I didn't read this last part here. Thank you so much for sharing that. I remember I had a question about auras and about cross currents. You told us that we can feel that with a mental hunger, right? Yeah, energy field. What does it mean if you have a cross current? I don't know. I've never heard about a cross current before. I don't even remember you talking about one. Oh, and Debbie Lang. Hi, Debbie. Your experience to bond with pure love energy is so helpful and timely for me. Thank you. Well, I tell you, it's helped me many, many times when I felt isolated. No one hears, no one sees. What am I doing? Banging my head. Hi, my Debbie. Nice that you're here. We're doing a test. On the way I'm talking, I'm thinking I was going to delete it, but I think, you know what? I just might leave it on. Some other people might like to hear my ramblings, because I'm using a whole pile of cards to read from and talk about, because we've been freezing. I don't know if you're aware. My shows have been freezing and freezing. So we did a cleaning on the computer yesterday, which I don't know if I did very well or not, because I get bamboozled sometimes with technology. Anyway, so we thought, well, we'll do an experiment. Now, it did freeze, but it kept on going, which is a big change. And so we're up to nearly 49 minutes now. And Debbie, nice to see you. Matt 07, I don't know what cross currents are. That is probably from somewhere else you got that. I don't think you would have heard me talk about that. Cross currents. No, I'm not familiar with that. The only thing I can think of is that you pick up, some people are more hyper and picking up other people's energies or other energies rather than focused. I have a brain that focuses, so that helps. But if you be scattered, it won't necessarily. Trust everything's going well for you, Debbie. Whereabouts are you living now? Where were you? You moved away, I know. Anyway, type it in so I know. Okay, this is very pertinent. There is no separation. All minds are joined. Now, yeah, I thought you were still in Kamloops. Yeah, okay, good. Okay, hang on a minute. Look at this design. You've seen things like that before. People ban them and limit them, right? If I've seen that. So if we're all joined, what are we picking up? What are we emphasizing? What are we putting our strengths towards? What are we, sometimes we can be low because of circumstances, and we can get into one of the, I'm going to say incorrect thinkings that can then expand into a lot of other things with doubt. When people start doubting who they are, what they can do, all those things, probably the most significant thing to block your progress, your direction, the thing of where you're going and what you're doing. Debbie says, everything is good. I am in Kamloops still. Good. Yeah, no, I was just talking to a friend of mine who's actually coming down to a Soyuz a couple of weeks. I hope to get down and see her. Except that's when my son is. Well, we'll figure that out. Anyway, I want you to look at this again. Watch where your direction is for when you're looking to go ahead or what you're wanting to do. Just take a look at that. So we've got 10 more minutes. This one I've seen lots of. I trust my higher self. I listen with love to my inner voice. And I'm just going to read the back as well here. Within every problem lies a seed of its own solution. And I agree with that. But I want you to look at this one here and see if you can see that. I trust my higher self. But do you listen? Oh, I trust my higher self. But what's it saying? Do you listen? I listen with love to my inner voice. Yeah, from your heart. That's where it comes when you hold grudges, when you're upset, when you're unsure. You are not listening or feeling with your heart. You are not, I'm going to use the word authentic because we are here. We end up so much in our minds. It's funny, I was sitting here the other day thinking, I wonder if I should write another book. I have no inspiration to write a book, really, but I've had that thought nearly 3 times now. I wonder if I should write another book. Now, where is that coming from and what does it represent? I have no idea. Coming from my higher self saying, Norma, you've still got some things to put out there, which could very well be true. But my books have never sold super well. Mind you, I've never put them in the hands of somebody who would sell them really well. Matzo 7 says, write a book. If all minds are joined, why are we so distant and separate? What a wonderful question. Well, I'll tell you why. It's because we're committed to our own programming. Simple as that. But we affect others around us. Debbie says, I was just thinking that another Norma book is a great idea. I was thinking about the story of your life. Oh, could be. Yeah. Well, we'll see what motivates. I really appreciate that because I really have loved YouTube and just talking, and I really think I'm going to leave this up. And if anyone wants to watch it, because man, we're covering a lot of subjects, and that's what I want is people to learn and grow and become. Okay, what's this one? My happiness shines from within, like a sun shining forever. And I'm willing to see things differently. That's the issue. As a reader, to have people see differently. So basically this morning, I've had 3 different conversations where I have been presenting a different perspective. If 1 out of 3 really works, that'd be great. 2 out of 3 would be wonderful. Having to give up. Let's take this pen. I've got to have this pen because if I don't have this pen, I can't write down my ideas, or I can't do this, or I can't do that. That's what you're going to get in the mind. I can't live and operate without this pen. So someone comes along and says, well, you don't need the pen. Pick up a recorder. Where is it? And record. You don't need a pen. But the system will say, I need this pen. I rely on this pen. When I hold the pen, I know what I'm doing. We get stuck on how things should be. We get stuck where we are. And we don't really want to shift or change or move or go anywhere, because we're going to break out of where we are and what we do. I went through a period of time when my health began to break down, and I didn't want to beat myself up for it because that doesn't help, and I knew that, but it was like, and I couldn't have, I don't know, a whole lot of things broke down when my health began to collapse. I could have beaten myself up about it, but I didn't. It's just the circumstances, so you flow with them. I got depressed at times. Yes, I did do that. But mostly, I have a good friend, Marion. My good friend, Marion, carted me around, and we did all the different things. And then I got into the habit of monthly infusions and all that stuff. And my energy went. I got so tired inside. And then the doctors didn't like it too much because I kept saying, how come I feel worse now than I did in the beginning? Didn't like that. They didn't like me questioning, why is this happening? Why is that? So anyway, that's me. But I'm feeling much, much better now. But my legs still aren't 100%. So I'm working on those now. Anyway, what I was getting at is that we are here to express who we are one way or the other. And that's why when COVID came along, most of you watching right now know the story. I'm living in an apartment. Life had made some changes after my daughter passing and other things that went on. And anyway, I'm in this little apartment. I had a weekly, just hang on a minute, banging my computer here. I had weekly meditation groups happening. I was seeing clients here, everything. I was quite happy. Wasn't, 8 students, clients periodically coming in, no problem. COVID happens. Now I live in an apartment, can't have people in. I was actually going to have some surgery on my knee and decided not to because I couldn't have anyone come and help me. So I still haven't had the surgery. Also, I can't do a meditation class. Nobody can meet anyway. Everything shut down. Did it shut down for 6 months, a year, 2 to 3 years? Until then, that's when I got on YouTube. That's when I found it. And I said, well, actually, I used to put movie reviews, and I'm thinking of still doing one about the new one I saw the other day. Didn't like it. Anyway, I used to put movie reviews on, and it came to me. So I asked, what do I do now? What do I do now? Something about movies. This tab is using your camera and microfilm, and my memory usage is 568 MBs. Anyway, isn't that interesting? Okay, so because it's 58 minutes. God, we actually gone nearly an hour without sort of freezing ones. Now, anyway, what was I talking about? Oh, COVID, how everything happened. So what do I do? I can't just sit here. I can watch movies and read books forever, believe me, but I want to do something else. So anyway, it said, well, you've got that YouTube channel. Why don't you just start talking? What does Norma do best? Talk. So anyway, that's how it all started. Till now they have these 3 shows, and then the dash thing, we started crashing and freezing. And I actually 2 weeks ago was a mess. I was so frantic about everything. Calm now. So everything went on, and we completed, now counting the seconds down, an hour of being on air. A few more seconds to go. So other people that came in, Marion for sure, who suggested I do this, much to my chagrin at the time. I couldn't see how I could do that. Then there was Leroy, if he's still there, Maths 07, then Debbie, Did I miss anybody? I don't think I did. No. Okay. So we're still counting down the seconds to a minute, to a whole hour, which is what we've got to be able to do. Now, the thing is, we've used an hour up, hour now. Hallelujah. Now, the other thing is here. Oh, I miss magic with moonlight. Yes. Oh, thank you for always being my conscious mind here. Thank you. Yeah, I did. I went back and I couldn't see her. So I'm going to end with this. My inner wisdom gently unfolds. It's like a tulip, like a beautiful blossoming flower, inspiring the breath of God in spirit. I am inspired with two sides. I trust in some of the things I've said today, I've inspired you, that you have been here, found out that I was on. And even though it was a test and I was going to take it away, I'm not. I'm going to leave it. And if people want to listen to it, great. And if they don't, that's okay too. I'll be on tonight at 7 with mental mind treatments, and pray that we can go through for the whole time. Bless you all. See you tonight. If you're going to come back and listen, catch up with where we're at. I enjoyed myself, which I think is really important because it cheers me up when I do my work. And I love to talk. I used to be told off from talking when I was young because I talk too much. And every teacher, one story I should share with you. A teacher threw his duster at me if you remember the old dusters, they had wood with felt on, and the wood took off all the skin on my hand. Good shot. Yeah, it stopped me for a moment or two. Blessings to all of you. Have a good day. I'll be back on tonight. Bye now.